fellow readers. Today I'm going to be talking about Audition by Ryo Murakami. This is a book in translation. It's a very quick book. It is a work of Japanese horror. It's a thriller slash horror. I classify it more into horror just because it gets kind of gory towards the end. But a lot of the main meat of the book I would consider more of a thriller. So this is a very kind of dark and twisty tale with an interesting premise. So the main character of this book is Aoyama, and Aoyama works in the film industry. I believe he is a documentarian, I believe. And he is also a widower. His wife passed away, I believe, about 7 or 8 years before the events of the book take place. And he adored his wife. I believe she was a dancer, or she was an artist of some form. And he just hasn't been able to really get over her. He has also been busy raising their young son. So I believe when the wife died, the son was around 7 or 8. And at the time of this book, he's around 15. So here we are 7 years later, and 7 or 8 years later. And Aoyama is seriously contemplating moving on and finding someone new in his life. He talks about how he's had brief flings with people, but no actual relationships, mostly just visits to love hotels and then going home. He's had no real relationship, but he feels like it might be time for him to move on. And he's even hearing it from his son. His son is saying, you know, Dad, maybe it's time to find someone new. You're still young. I believe Aoyama is around 43 when the book takes place. And so he's like, you're still young, you can find somebody new and move on. And so Aoyama is interested in doing so, but he wants to make sure that he finds the right kind of woman. He wants another artistic and creative woman like his wife was. So he's talking to his friend Yoshikawa about this, and the two of them invent this plan to find him his next wife. And that is, they will say that they're going to film a romantic movie and that they're looking for a female lead. And so they will put out this casting call for a young female lead to be the main lead in this romantic movie that is being proposed. And they believe that when they get the applicants in, for those interested in it, that they can find Aoyama the perfect wife, which is totally messed up. They have no plans in actually making a movie. There is no script. There is no movie. They just think that when they find the perfect woman for Aoyama to date, they can simply say that the money and the plans for the movie fell through, and so there won't be a movie. But hey, you can keep dating the guy. That is their main mission in this. I guess you get what you ask for in doing something deceptive. So they put out the call and they get a lot of applicants, and you know, it's interesting. So they're reading through, and Aoyama definitely finds some that he's interested. There's one girl in particular that he was really drawn to, and she was a former dancer, and so he's like, ooh, on paper this girl sounds good, let's see what she's like. So when they do the call in for the audition, the girls come in and he gets to see the girl that had the perfect application, and her name is Yamasaki. And Yamasaki is a young woman. I think she's about 24, and he just thinks she's the bee's knees. I mean, they do some talking at the audition, and he's really drawn to her. And so he starts contacting Yamasaki outside of this audition, and he's, you know, making claims about, you know, maybe I can help you with this, or we'd like to meet with you about it. But really he just wants to have dinner with her and lunch with her and get to know her, date her, essentially. And so they do meet up and have these meetings, not really about work, because he just wants to get to know her so that he can potentially marry her very deceptively. Meanwhile, Yoshikawa is doing some background work on Yamasaki based on her application. So he's trying to find out more about her manager and about her home life and all that jazz so that they can make sure that she's legit and a safe contender for Aoyama, even though they're still technically lying to her, but whatever. And he discovers that she has, well, appears to have lied on her application about her life in general. I believe they can't reach her home, like her parents' home. They can't find anything about her parental background, and they can't reach her last listed manager. And this kind of makes Yoshikawa a little bit suspect, and he feels uncomfortable. So he starts warning Aoyama about this, and he's like, I think you need to take it easy with this girl. I don't think you should rush into anything because this is shady. I can't find anything that validates what she's saying. And this is making me nervous. And of course, Aoyama is like, no, I really like this girl. She's perfect. And doesn't want to listen to Yoshikawa. But perhaps he should have listened to Yoshikawa because things start getting twisty. Aoyama ends up inviting Yamasaki away on like a little weekend getaway. And I believe it's when they're having dinner. She actually tells Aoyama that she's okay with there being no movie and for them to move forward in a relationship, but that he has to know that it has to only be her. He can only love her. And I mean, you should be seeing those red flags right now. Like, that's a deep warning. Especially when you find out that Aoyama has not yet told her that he has a son, Shige, whom he lives with and loves and takes care of. Because once that all gets revealed, things take a dark and twisty turn, and I won't get too into that. But man, does it take a gruesome and dark and twisty turn. But you'll have to read it to find out what happens at the very end. Again, this is a very quick book, as a lot of Japanese novels are. They're often quick. Not all of them, granted. But a lot of the ones are quicker read, which I kind of enjoy. It's like a little break. They're often very good and deep and powerful works, but they're a little abbreviated compared to a lot of the bloated novels that we have here. And this one, ooh, for a thriller and a little touch of horror, this is a good read. It was enjoyable for me. I really liked it. Again, I like thrillers. I like horror. So this was like right up my alley, and I could just visualize it. Also, I do know that this book was adapted into a movie, and supposedly it's really well done, as spoken by the author of the book. He really enjoyed the movie. So I may have to look for it. It is a Japanese film, so I think it's maybe out there in subtitles somewhere. I haven't seen it yet. But this is one I would be willing to see and see how the adaptation went, especially for the ending, because it's intense. And yeah, I am going to be looking that up. So check out Audition if this sounds at all interesting to you. I would highly recommend it. I enjoyed this immensely. That is it for this video. Until next time.